I'll just put myself on stage here because this is kind of crazy. Welcome to the break room. I am your boy King Junker, the substitute Shinigami for the show. Thanks for tuning in. Whenever you do, future, now, past, I don't know. Um, we have another day, another time where we're going to be driving things for Jay. He's still recovering. He had a little bit of an oopsie. He was out there moonlighting as a vigilante, and he leaped a little too far. So we're gonna get started today. I guess in just a little bit here. We got at least one viewer. Hi, viewer. It's you and me right now. Let's see what's going on here. We got a little bit of technical difficulties. The difficulties being ain't nobody around. Oh, I think I know who you might be. I appreciate you very much. So yeah, hopefully we get some more people into the show here. Until we do, I guess it's just my show, which some people should say that I should, you know, have my own thing. I should do more stuff. I really don't know what I should do, but I can tell you this. I can give you a nice little talk down about Deadpool and Wolverine. So, disclaimer, I'm going to be talking about the movie here. So, wonderful film to see come out, especially from Marvel. And I got to say, there's a lot of things that I really did enjoy, but there were some things that were a little bit just weird, and somewhere somehow it felt like there was potential missed, but I don't know where it is because so many great things happen. Number one, I really, really did enjoy Wesley Snipes coming back as Blade. Oops, I did say it. I don't care. Spoiler. I told you before this. So, yeah, Wesley Snipes being in there having a cameo. And then we got Jennifer Garner doing Elektra. Fantastic. And then there was another person who joined just now, so I'm just going to tell you this is Wolverine, Deadpool. A little spoilery at the moment, but I'll stop naming names. But I just named two names that were in there. But there's a couple of people that come in and they reprise some roles in some ways that are very specific to Marvel and other things that have happened in the past. And the movie, I think it's because it sort of feels all over the place, and like it feels like it's two movies that are melded together that could have really been two separate movies. I feel like with Deadpool and Wolverine, but all things considered, I'm glad that we got it now. The opening song with Backstreet Boys and Deadpool was very much on key for Deadpool. It was very funny. I like the way that they went down and just kind of returned everything. They do that little flashback and they show him just trying to sell cars and he sucks at it. And that comes back around. There's a lot of callbacks that they do very well. Like, it's a very well thought out movie. You can tell that there's care that went into it, just like the previous Deadpool films. It's not just like, let's try and hit every single nail that we can, although it is also that. But not in a bad way. It just feels at times a bit all over the place. And I feel they kind of had to choose an antagonist because there really isn't one, sort of. Like, there's somebody who's being a dick for whatever reason. He has big sense of himself. Maybe that's the way he is in the comics. I don't know. I don't really care. I'm not that deep into it. Paradox is his name. He's just deciding I'm the one that's gonna just snip your timeline. You find this out very early, and it's like, so you're gonna do this for me, and it's just like, okay, I guess. And then you go and you meet the female Cyclops. No, I'm sorry, not Cyclops. Xavier, Cassandra, Dre. Hopefully, Dre is actually back here. Oh, Dre, are you there? I hope.
Yeah, you hear
All
me?
right, fantastic.
I,
Welcome
I
to the show.
had to
Uh,
download the app.
the app.
Yeah, the StreamYard app.
There's a StreamYard app since when?
Oh, today.
Well, welcome back. I've been talking to our two viewers here about X-Men and not X-Men, Wolverine and Deadpool.
Oh,
Uh,
did you see it?
yeah, I saw it. I did. Um, I enjoyed it, but I also feel like there was something like it feels like it's I feel like we've lost the movie somewhere, and not just with some of the cameos that come through in their franchises, but like I feel like Wolverine and Deadpool, there should have been two movies that definitely like this should be the second one. I feel like, and not the first one. But if it was, I don't know. It's unfortunate, but it's definitely worth a watch, especially if you enjoyed the first two Deadpools. You're gonna want to see this one. It's very much still a Deadpool movie. Um, uh, Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine does a fantastic job. He wears the yellow suit well. It looks great. It's not as silly as I think people thought it was, but at the same time, if they tried to do this costume then, be a completely different costume team. So maybe for them, they wouldn't have been able to think of something that doesn't look as ridiculous. But it looks great. Definitely bloody. A lot of definitely bloody because Logan, aka Wolverine, hates Deadpool. So this has nothing to do with reasons why he does. He just hates him because he shows up and takes him away. He just doesn't like him. And he's ornery because of things that happened in his past. And so they fight twice, and they both have healing factors. And because of that, they heal very quickly. And so they get some blows on each other that would be kill shots otherwise for people. In that same lane, if you got kids or something like that, let me tell you right now, stop bringing your kids to R-rated movies. Fucking please. Okay? Because they're not for your children. It's going to ruin their little fucking head. I know you want to go, and the only way you can go is with your kids. Something has to be figured out around that. Okay, we need to go on Facebook or whatever social media and make a group and be like, we all as a group are going to figure out how to coordinate how we can all see these movies or something like that, because you need to stop bringing your kids to these movies. And it's partially because I don't want to hear them in the background, and two, they shouldn't be subject to this kind of stuff. There's tons of cursing, tons of cussing. This is Deadpool. There are jokes that go far, pretty far at times. And then you got like just stabbings in the head. You got a woman who's able to like put her hand into people's faces and grab at them and stuff, and it's gnarly. And there's like the first trailer was for the new Alien movie, and I know a lot of you probably don't care. Like whatever, like I took my kid to it. And it's like, yeah, that's where your kid is a fucking problem to handle because you took him to see it. Please I'm not telling you how to raise your kids. I'm just saying don't bring them to R-rated movies. They're not. I know it says or with the Guardian, but like that's not really what that means. It means keep your fucking kids not at this type of movie. PG-13, okay. You can get away with PG-13. I don't really care. But R, it's Deadpool. You saw 2 other films. You gonna bring them to this one? Come on. Anyway, thanks for coming to the show. We appreciate it. We should at least have one other person coming on, but now that we've gone about 9 minutes in, I've been bullshitting for a minute just to get Dre back on here. Why don't we get the intro and actually start up? Welcome to the Breakroom.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to
Breakroom, yo.
your favorite rapper's favorite podcast.
See, this is why I like your show. You're very charismatic. You know the right things to say.
That's right. We are live today, and it seems like right now, until Corey shows up, it's going to be the King Junker and Dre show, aka Talon. I'm your B Cools. Shit, I can't see it right here. Be Cool's. I mean, Be Cool's pilot of the day. We're gonna be sailing, boating, driving, cruising here today, and we're just really kind of gonna be off the rip today. We got some things that are gonna be shown. For example, because I have the ratings.
Kamala Harris movie.
Huh? Oh,
Kamala
well, you know
Harris
what?
movie.
You know what? Now that you're back, actually, let's talk about that. We can hold on to what I got, what I was gonna do, to corrugate here or something. The Kamala Harris movie. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer yet. It's very well produced. It's got Beyonce's audio in there, so you know that cost a pretty penny already. But you know she's asking for $5 a day, so I'm sure with that they're able to pay Beyonce some dividends, something like that. But the Kamala Harris movies, Kamala Ding Dong Harris movie. What do you think, Dre?
Of her movie?
Yeah.
Of her?
Well, I never thought she was going to be an actress, but apparently she's decided
She made
to
it
get
this far.
right. If you're going to be on the team making movies for a while, makes sense. Ooh. You crackled up right now, bro. I'm not sure what's happening there, but you sound not good. I understand. Is it because we said it? Because I said her name like I did Kamala Ding Dong. I thought parody and stuff like that was fine. Aren't you supposed to do that?
Can you hear me now?
There we go. Yeah.
That was crazy.
Anyway,
But yeah, I didn't see the trailer yet. Are you going to play the trailer?
Oh, yeah. I didn't. All right. So we as a show do not endorse either party or third party. We don't support any candidates. But this is something that you're probably gonna see. you're gonna see it.
A lot.
We'll talk about why you're probably gonna see it for a little bit afterwards. And you know what? Before we do, because I really don't have anything interesting to talk about for this week, this is going to be our Anyway, let me go ahead and get that going here. Yeah, so I want y'all to see this. Let us know in the comments what you think about this movie and what do you think about Kamala Harris, Kamala Harris becoming an actress. Those guys think it's hilarious.
In this election, we each face a question. What kind of country do we want to live in? There are some people who think we should be a country of chaos,
Some people.
of fear, of hate. But us, we choose something different. We choose freedom. Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, come be loose. Freedom, freedom, where are you? I need freedom too. The freedom not just to get by, but get ahead. The freedom to be safe from gun violence. The freedom to make decisions about your own body. We choose a future where no child lives in poverty, where we can all afford health care, where no one is above the law.
Mm-hmm.
We believe in the promise of America, and we're ready to fight for it. Because when we fight, we win. So join us. Go to KamalaHarris.com and let's get to work. I'ma keep running because the winner don't quit on themselves.
I wonder if David Goggins wrote that line. I don't know, man. You got Marcia Pagnata here. The goose goosebumps. And then we got the Pink Traveler. There are already a bunch of fake accounts and bots spreading anti-Kamala propaganda because nobody could think differently about her. Like, look at that. Did you not just see that movie? Why would you want to see that shit? Best female protagonist in years. Damn, Barified Jockey, Perfection, Not Me Crying Here. We got Goggles the Otter saying, so, I mean, there's a lot of praise going on for this. What do you think, sir?
I'll pass
What?
on watching the movie.
This is one of the most monumental movies ever. There's never been a black woman in this role before. This is like a new Bond. This is like a black Bond.
That I wouldn't watch that either.
What? Do you, Dre? Do you secretly have? Do you have hatred towards yourself and your people? Why would you not support this woman? Look at her. She's as white as any Indian woman.
Identity politics ruin politics.
Really? I don't know about that. Buddy. We had Obama. Things were fantastic under Obama. You remember how cheap things were under Obama? It was great.
Goodness. I don't even remember that dude being president, to be honest. That was a blur.
You don't remember? Because there's a lot of people that remember Obama as a blur too, and that's a lot I remember. But anyway, we're past that point. But they do endorse Kamala. It's the Jose right there that's kind of messing it up. I apologize. Hello to our 4 viewers. I hope you guys are having a good time. I hope you missed the beginning for the most part because there is spoilers in there for the very light spoilers for Wolverine and Deadpool. Go see it. It's pretty good. And I don't recommend Marvel stuff that much. But, I've never really been about any of these movies. I did at one point before I really realized how much of a game it was. I was kind of foolishly was like, yeah, yo, Andrew Yang looks like he might be the guy. And then it was just like, yeah. Okay.
They got him out of here pretty fast.
Yeah, it's like, all right. Guess not. And now...
When's the last time you saw him on social media?
It was maybe a couple months ago, but it was not really it wasn't in a bad light, but it wasn't in a good light. So, yeah. It's kind of funny though, because I remember growing up, there would be people that would be running, right? You would just hear like, oh, the Republicans have so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so. And there would be a big deal in Republican states that you'd be hearing about or whatever, like whatever state was kind of dominant or wherever you were, you would hear about those who were going to be running for that right to run. I swear since I've been an adult, that's not really ever been a thing that is highlighted anymore. And they only just put out certain folk into the media that you're aware of from day one on like a grand scale. Locally, they might cover somebody, but on a grand scale, can you afford to be out there? Probably not more than somebody who owns hundreds of stations can afford to make sure that you're not. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying hypothetically. And I feel like these last 2 elections, it was just always immediately like, who else? There's nobody else, Democrats. Nobody. We're just gonna immediately be like, well, what the vice president? She was right there all the time. It's like I barely remember her ever making a statement or doing anything. The best thing I remember that was pushed out with the press with her. Granted, I don't follow lots of politics, but number one thing was her calling Joe, being like, "We did it, Joe. We did it."
Which is crazy. That's
like
crazy for her to say we did it.
Right, because a couple months ago she was talking shit and pointing out how he's not, great. I don't know, man. Such a farce. Such a farce.
I
If
can't
you
wait for November to be over.
if you had to vote, and this is kind of on a serious note, if you actually have somebody that you would consider, but if not, take into consideration those who are likely going to be in the script for this movie, who would you vote for
Are
based
you
off of what you know now?
asking me?
Yeah, just hypothetically. If you don't mind sharing, because it's not like if you don't want to, you don't have to, but hypothetically.
The Orange Man.
Yeah, but he's a racist, Dre. Did you know
Right.
that?
Nah, that's I forgot about that.
You
Never
forgot
heard that before.
he was at 40 lynchings as a child. When he was time traveling as Baron Trump, he was at 40 lynches as a child.
Never heard that before. I forgot.
Yeah, it's all in the alleged files of Baron Trump, the time traveling child. It's the sequel to that other book. You should read it sometime. So maybe there's somebody whose name you could say in 3 syllables. You might want to think about. Maybe
The Cursed Family.
the cursed family. What? What are you talking about? There ain't nobody with no cursed family up here. Just somebody who might have considerable things in their history to take into account.
Yeah, nah, I'll pass on that too.
Incarceration rates, just to throw up a random phrase. I don't know. If you took the names that we mentioned today, you fucking truck. These fucking ups trucks, bro. If you went ahead and just kind of see, it made me lose my thought. It was so disturbing. Anyway, besides the whole thing there, how you doing, Dre?
I'm all right, man. Got an interview on Monday.
Okay. I know recently you had a move from distance to distance.
Mhm.
How's it been?
It's good. It's over with now. Most of the moving part.
Cool. Very nice. Are you still looking into same job field or
No, something different.
what you
Moving
looking
on.
into?
No more security.
No? But we need security, Dre.
That's all right.
We need black men in positions of authority.
That's true.
Yeah. So why are you abandoning post? How am I going to explain this to the black community at the next meeting?
They don't care.
They don't care. They
They're
take the
gonna be late.
ballots. Somebody reads them,
They're gonna be late.
but they're gonna be there. Just like they'll be there for you, audience. Like you're there for us. I appreciate this, the four of you back again. Appreciate that. I'm not sure where Corey is. I hope he's doing all right. But because it's just me and Dre, I guess we'll kind of just roll back the clock, turn back the clock, turn back the clock, turn back the clock to the dawn of time when Dre was in the Navy.
Shit.
Shout out to We're Back, because we're back to our and I know it's a bit quick, but it's just me and Dre right now. So we're gonna do what we can do. So Dre, I see you got over there Joe Navy. Joe Navy. Does that name have any type of actual meaning, or is it just an arbitrary name you picked?
I mean, it has a meaning. It's not good. It's not bad either, though.
Okay. Well, I would like to ask you if you could explain us what that meaning is. But before you do, break room audience, we're going to be talking a little bit about what it's like to be in the Navy. Now it's been a few years now. How many years, Dre?
Since I got out,
Yeah,
4.
4 years. 4 years, so an entire contract, full contract's worth
Yeah,
since you.
kind of.
So that actually kind of be good for contrast. Um, Going back though, turn back that clock. Um, Being in the Navy, Joe Navy. Before we ask about some other aspects, what does Joe Navy mean? What was that significance in ranks and such?
It just means somebody who's all about the Navy,
Hmm.
somebody who really loves it, is passionate about it. And it's not a, people turn it to a negative term.
Kind of like the same way you would say like teacher's pet type of thing, like that type of a like, oh, you love the Navy, you brown noser for the Navy, that type of thing.
Yeah, it turned into like a teacher's pet.
Okay. Now, putting your name as Joe Navy, or would you be a Joe Navy?
No.
Okay. Um, so going back to that aspect, Joe Navy. For those of you that have not watched, we actually went back and did this a long time ago. You should check those out. But Dre, let me know what made you decide to go into the Navy once you did so 8 years ago.
What, I don't know. It's hard to explain it. Like, I got out of school, got out of college, and I just didn't want to go back to college again.
What
I
did
was like,
you
I
what
don't
did you go to school for?
sociology.
Now, was it because you just weren't happy with the job options, or what? What was it?
That was a part of it. I mean, there's decent jobs in every field, but I just didn't want to be a social worker or go to. I didn't really. I kind of wanted to get my master's in sociology.
Hmm. To what end?
I wanted to teach it.
Hmm. You have a desire or liking of teaching?
Yeah, I would like to, well, I wanted to be a professor, but got to go to college forever.
I mean, if you're really going to be a true professor, you're never going to stop going to school, right? Um, but understandable. That's kind of one reason why I got a little bit disillusioned with physics and philosophy. Physics because math started coming a little bit heavier than I was really able to compute it, and then philosophy because a lot of these thoughts and things I came across without needing to, and I didn't want to be just a person sitting around thinking because think tank is not really a thing. They get assembled and all that. Um, and with physics, I didn't really want to be in a lab. I wanted to be doing theoretical stuff. I wanted to do very specific things, and that's what
Hmm.
made me drawn to the military in certain regard. Was there a certain draw of the military for you, of like they could maybe fulfill a certain thing you had in you, or was it just so that way you were not doing nothing?
Yeah, it was kind of making sure I had something to do and just ready to leave. Just ready to get out of Waterbury.
You were just trying to do something different.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Do something different.
So you didn't really have a care for what you did in the military or whatever, as long as it was just not there.
Right. I was ready to go.
And was this right after school, or was it like when did you start the process, or were you like on your way out and just like, no, there ain't nothing?
It was like maybe a year and a half after I graduated.
Hmm.
Yeah, about a year and a half.
So you had enough time to kind of like test the waters and really find out, and just wasn't there.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Did a little bit of. I worked at Stop and Shop for a little bit. I remember that.
I remember that you were in the deli, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, shout out to them. Um, well, once you got into the military there, I know that's got to be relatively different. Do you have anybody that's in your family that you know well that had already been in the military that you had spoken to about what to expect, or nobody who had been in or in that branch?
Yeah, I had a few people. Nobody was in the Navy who in my family. But one of my friends was in the Navy, and he told me to do it. And he was like, "Yeah, man, it's easy. Just chill. We just chill all day." I was like, "Whatever, bro." I didn't believe him for the longest time.
Even like once you got in.
Still didn't believe him because nobody really knows what other jobs do for real, for the most
Mm,
part. So
mm.
I was like, "What are you talking about?"
That's kind of funny. So you went in. Were you expecting it to be easy because of that, or were you just like nah, or like did you like read up,
Expecting
research,
what to be easy.
going in? Like where? What were your expectations? Did you research what it would be like? Did you um
Yeah.
like you watch movies and stuff like that?
Nah, I didn't. So
Not
I
movies.
never really cared to watch military movies until I was like out the military. Like I watched a couple military movies here and there, but I never like was really obsessed with it
Mm,
because I never thought those were real or like take them seriously. Most of them are not really to be taken seriously,
mm.
especially in the Navy.
I I don't know. Maybe use 57-1. I think that's what it is. I know that's a famous famous movie about a U-boat, but though.
Mm-hmm.
Um, go ahead. Um, so, uh, going into the military, leaving home, everything like that, we wanted to go, so I'm sure leaving was not as much of an issue. Getting there, um, expectation. W- Did it meet what you expected? Was it different? Was it harder than you thought? Were you like, what was it like getting into boot camp?
So boot camp was easy, especially thinking back on it. It was really easy, but it was just it's all about the mental part. Like I thought it was really dumb that we were folding clothes every day. Like basically exercising, cleaning, and folding clothes. That's what you did every day. I'm like, this isn't hard. Like how could anybody struggle with this? But a lot of people struggle with it.
Like legit, that was like. I mean, you had classes or something like that in between that as well, right?
Yeah, you go to class to learn certain things, and you know, like it's like military. It's programming, right? So you have to learn how the military works and the chain of command and what this means and what that means. Which that part was it wasn't difficult because you're just learning something new. But the simple things like making your rack, people struggle with that. Or cleaning up after yourself.
Let's see here. Navy chain of command.
Yeah, like you have to know what every collar device looks like, what it means, what it stands for, who wears it.
So that way, when you recognize it, you can address it properly, right?
Right. And you get quizzed and tested on that. And if you get a question wrong, you get beat.
The Navy beating people? No, I don't believe it.
You don't get beat up, but you will. You can, get do some push-ups, a lot of
Mm,
push-ups
like 30.
at a time.
That's not terrible, but that's
Yeah,
me.
but the thing is, you don't get questions wrong. Because
Right.
I remember people coming back from dep and they were like, Man, boot camp is so easy. I didn't have to do any push-ups, any sit-ups. I didn't do anything, and I was like, "Yeah, right. Give me a break."
You wouldn't believe it.
Nah, I never believed it because I was like, what is the purpose of us running and exercising every day, and you don't gotta do one push-up?
Not one push. Like they said like ever.
They were like, they probably did 50 push-ups all of boot camp, and I just like, whatever. I don't care what you're saying.
Okay, that's obviously lying. That's some capulation.
But I see what they were saying because if you stay out the mix, you do what you're supposed to do. The only time you really have to exercise hard is when it's like group PT or something. You'll never have to do more than anybody else as long as you just do what you're supposed to do. But even then, it's a team, so if somebody else messes up, everybody's gonna uh get beat.
Mm. So I'm curious. Do you does this look familiar to you, sir? Does this remind you of anything?
Sit up straight. Eyes on me.
Uh-huh.
I'm Petty Officer Sperry. I will be your lead RDC. Petty Officer 10 will be your second RDC. Petty Officer Gonzalez will be your third RDC. Together, we have 8 weeks to transform you into United States sailors.
You are no longer a civilian. Whatever you were before is now over. You are about to begin a journey that's going to make you a part of the greatest naval.
Does that look familiar, Dre? Shouts out to All Hands Magazine there. Did that look familiar to you at all?
Everything is
So the level of yelling that they would do?
Something's missing. A lot of vulgarity. A lot less cussing.
you do. I don't give a crap if you're tired.
Oh, crap.
Do it. You came here to serve, so own up and do it.
We are aggressive with them, but we are instructors at first. We're teaching them everything, and we take our time. So when they start failing during week 1, then they're actually held accountable.
Anything that you were before, you came here.
These are 5 things you need to bring when you go to basic combat training. Number 1 is have your cell phone and at least try to have it charged. Or when you finally get your phone, you're going to be rushing trying to.
Can't be true.
Pause. I was going to say, hold on. Pause.
These are 5 things you need
She
to.
said, you could bring your cell phone, but you're never going to be able to use it. It's just they're going to take it from you immediately and be like, yep, you'll get it back in a couple months.
why would you bring? Maybe it's a trap. Maybe it's just a trap.
I
can't believe that's the first thing.
Number 1 is have your cell phone and at least try to have it charged. Or when you finally get your phone, you're going to be rushing trying to find a charger that everyone else is going to fight for. Number 2, bring a lock. There are people that are holdovers that are getting kicked out, and they don't really care if they take your stuff or not. So just bring a lock, because I got some stuff stolen whenever I was in reception. Number 3, so you don't have to waste your money and you can save your Eagle cash card for hygiene stuff, bring some papers and all that stuff that you're going to use to write letters.
Is that true? Were you writing letters?
No, I didn't, but I definitely remember some people did. Writing letters is, I don't know why she would say that, because you can get some time to call home, but it depends.
Or a necessity. I mean,
Yeah, like.
1 drill sergeant. 2 drill sergeant. 3 drill sergeant. 4 drill sergeant. 5 drill sergeant. Everybody on your faces now. You can't hack into what? You ready to quit? You want to quit? I can get you out of here. 1, 2, 3.
All recruits, when you first pick them up from basically civilians and then get them into the week 1 training and you start using intensive training exercises on them, they really start.
Look at those push-ups.
Mindset.
What was that?
They'll have a hard time.
Good Lord. That was some terrible push-ups going on there. They definitely need some training. Also, not trying to say anything about the Navy or the military. I haven't been there, but honestly, that looked like an all right coach on a bad day for them on a football team. It didn't seem that intense. I'm sure
I'm gonna tell you right now.
not like that.
That's
Has to be for the cameras.
yeah, exactly. That's because they're being recorded and they can't make it look too crazy and too harsh. But I don't know. My RDCs were ridiculous. They were harsh, but I appreciated it. But some people were like, boot camp was easy. What'd you say?
Does everybody go through the same place for Navy?
Like for boot camp, yeah, it's all in the same. It's in Great Lakes.
Okay. So, so then it'd be, if people are bullshit or not. Because if you just went and somebody says something, and even if you weren't in their class, you know who's there working, most likely. It's like you didn't do that with that person. I've
Yeah, like
seen that.
her saying bring your cell phone was crazy because they're gonna say yeah you can bring your cell phone but you're never gonna use it, so it doesn't really matter. You could if anything you could just say oh I'll have my family bring it to me when I graduate from boot camp because you're not gonna use it for 2 months under any circumstance. You
That's
can't
probably the
smoke.
point.
I remember there was a lot of people who they were smoking. They were smokers before, but they quit because they couldn't smoke. You can't smoke cigarettes in boot camp. They're like, yeah, I don't even care to smoke anymore. Just quit cold turkey.
I mean, you got to keep up, right? I feel like just like you should be able to sign up for boot camp training as an American citizen, and like you should. Other places have people serve. Here, you should probably just have to go through some type of light boot camp. You know, not necessarily combat training, but a boot camp that just kind of puts you through some shit and makes you crawl through mud and just not be a little bitch. Everybody could use just don't be a little bitch type of training because if shit hits the fan, you're gonna find out if you are or not, and that's a bad time for you to find out, especially if you don't think you are that you are a little bitch, because that means you're probably gonna die.
Now, most people wouldn't be able to make it. Trust me. I know people think it's easy or it's not that serious. Most people wouldn't be able to make it.
That mud has mud and poo in it. You can smell it. You have to crawl through this or you will die. There are some people that will just choose to die. And I don't know any people like that, but I imagine it's probably the people that would be on you remember Mari and the fear episodes they would have? Oh my goodness.
The scared straight ones.
Hmm. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I never knew if those were like actually real or not because like how could it be? It just didn't make any sense, you know. But somehow, some way, all rights and property go to the Mari show. We're just gonna play a little moment here for this here for the audience. Like, yeah, she had problems with pickles. And on that show, if you didn't know, Mari just doesn't give a damn. He just starts playing shit. Oh, excuse me. Did it even play? My bad. I went over there and I didn't even show it to you. Let me show it to you now. Right here. Yep.
Okay, Louise, you're not going to believe this. Louise is petrified. I mean, the
Pickles.
whole world eats
And
pickles.
then what did Mari do?
When I think about pickles, I just want to throw up and run away. What I hate most about the pickle is the shape, the texture of it, the color,
We wanted to see firsthand the extent of Mariah's pickle phobia. So we sent her to the Patterson Pickle Factory, where she would come face to face with thousands upon thousands.
What?
Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that to somebody? Just because you're afraid. You know what you should do, Dre?
Face your fears.
Right. And send her to boot camp, which is what we were talking about. Bringing it back there myself. So boot camp for you wasn't too crazy. Was there anything like exceptional that happened, or like did you have a learning type of
Oh no,
moment?
there's some moments. There's definitely some moments where it was like, nah, this is crazy. I don't know. I knew I was able to. I knew I was gonna be able to make it through, but there was days where I was just like, I can't believe this is my life right now.
Mm. What days were
Like,
those?
so there was this one day where I still my elbow still clicks right now from doing all the push-ups I had to do, and it
Damn.
wasn't really my fault. Yeah, crazy arthritis. But my rack meet, he was the head PO, which basically means he was like in charge of the bathroom and keeping it clean, right? But he got sick one day, and it didn't get taken care of, and nobody else did it and helped. So when we got an inspection and we failed because the bathroom was a mess, he's supposed to get hit for that, right? But the thing was, he was sick, so I had to basically inherit all of his punishment. And our RDC was like, for every hit, it's gonna be like 30 push-ups, right? There was a lot of hits in that bathroom, a lot. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, damn, I wonder what's gonna happen. And he looks, my RDC looks at me. He's like, well,
Wow,
Richardson, you're gonna take it. It was a couple hundred push-ups,
that's
and
crazy.
see, the thing is, you can't like, you just got to take it, accept it for what it is. So you can't just be like, I'm not gonna do that. So I did as many as I could. I basically did them till I couldn't do no more.
That's wild. Just because of like, how does that make any sense? Is it because you should? Were they trying to teach out? You should have did this because they were sick, or like they're just an asshole.
That's a part of it, because one thing you learn, and everything in boot camp makes sense after boot camp, especially when you're in the Navy for a couple of years. It all makes sense. And one of the big things is, it doesn't matter if something's broken or something's wrong or whatever. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. Somebody has to fix it, right? I can't blame you, even if it's your fault, right? Even if it is your fault that this didn't get done, it has to get done regardless.
Hello to Sin. Thank you
Hello.
for coming to the show. Commenting. For those of you that are watching, feel free to comment if you're on YouTube and whatnot. We can post those on there. Thank you to Dre for pointing that out. I did miss that beforehand.
That's all right. But yeah, everything makes sense after, especially it's something like that. It's like, it doesn't matter if it wasn't my responsibility. It has to get done.
That's kind of that kind of sucks, but also
Oh, it
it's
sucked.
true.
It was
It's true
terrible.
because if you're on a ship and your shipmate who's right next to you has a job and that needs to get done and they're not available, they get killed. Worst case, right? You need to be able to do
Absolutely.
that.
And see,
I
that's
mean,
why the Navy is a really unique branch of the military, and most people don't know or think about this, but we don't we have to learn everybody else's jobs, because when you're in the middle of the ocean and a fire breaks out, we can't call the fire department to help us, right? So everybody has to we have to learn firefighting. Everybody on the ship has to be basically, we're not firefighters, but we know how to fight a fire, and we know what to do to fight a fire, and we know how to don the gear and everything like that. That's something
mhm.
that's very important on a ship.
Okay. So actually, before we do that, because I have a different set of like questions for that. We'll pin that real quick. Going
Word.
back to boot camp, finishing out there. Once you came out, after that, usually you have training for your specialty, correct? What do they call it in the Navy?
Uh, A school, C school.
Okay. And did you like? Do they give you any type of like? Is there anything that you can do that kind of influences what you might be doing? Is what you say matter at all, or is it really just well, no, this is how you perform. This is where we need, and this is where you're going.
Wait, what you mean? Like, does does boot camp correlate to A school?
Right. So, well, like, so when you go in there, there's jobs that you're aware of, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you're like, oh, I want to do this as a job. How much of your desire to do that and like your own efforts actually going to you even being able to do a job of your choice?
Well, it all depends on what you score on the ASVAB, right? And even then, it doesn't matter. Well, it matters, but it's like you're never gonna know what your job is until you actually get there, right?
Hmm.
So I remember being in boot camp and people were asking, so what does the OS do? Because I was an OS and my RDC was like, oh, I'll get an OS1 to talk to you guys and he could, break it down a little bit. But he really couldn't tell us anything.
What's an OS? What does that stand for?
O- Operations specialist. Like that doesn't
Oh.
mean anything. Those are just two random words together, right?
Hmm.
And see, a lot most rates, they the name makes sense for what it is, right?
Hmm.
But it's just nobody actually knows what an OS does. So we work in a secret place in the middle of the ship that people you gotta have access to. Most people don't know or care,
Hmm.
but we know everybody else's business.
Okay.
But
Hmm.
like going back to boot camp to A school, A school is basically to really teach you your job. And depending on what your job is, it might take longer than other rates. Um, Most of it is going to be taught when you get to the ship for the first time, though. That's really what matters. But some schools they're like a year and a half. Other ones are a month.
Damn. That's quite a drastic difference.
Right?
Is it, I mean, I would imagine that there's a pay scale difference to those two as well.
No, this is
No.
communism in the military.
Where
It's nice. So
communism.
it's funny too because like everybody gets paid the same. That's another thing that's crazy about the military or just the workforce, right? Everybody who's a E4 is going to get paid the exact same amount of money unless they're married and then you get that changes things, but it's all the same. So there's people on the ship who work way harder than other people, and it's like you don't deserve to get paid more money than me. Look what I do and look what you do.
Hmm.
But that's why making rank is important.
Hmm. So going back to secondary school,
Hmm.
what secondary school did you choose or just end up doing?
Oh no, you don't have a choice in it because it's like everybody you have to go to A school and
Oh, so everybody goes.
yeah, and depending on your rate, your A school's in different places. So mine was in Chicago, and it was fine. It was cool. I liked it. But other people, they might have to go to Florida or they might have to go to Virginia, depending on what their job is.
Hmm.
And then after that, you get your orders to get. That's when you actually start in the Navy for real. The first for me was 4 months. So like boot camp is 2 months, and then A school for me was 2 months. And it's funny because most of my job is really you got to learn. It's on the job training.
Hmm. So how long did it kind of really take you to learn your role?
And I see that's it's funny too because when you first get in the Navy, like when you first get to your ship, your job doesn't even matter. You're basically there to clean, do maintenance. That's it, and that's pretty much for everybody. Everybody is on the ship. Basically, I say E4 and junior, you're there to clean the ship and do maintenance. That's it. Your job is not important yet, or you're not important to the job yet.
Hmm. And what was your job
As
going
an
to be?
OS,
Yeah.
as a OS, is basically we assist the bridge in navigation, and we work in combat, or it's basically like the control center of the ship.
So like you get to play Battleship.
That's exactly what it is. But kind of, I mean, the boars from Battleship.
Mhm.
That's where I'm at
that's that's kind of funny. Did you think of that when you were doing the job? Like this is like that game Battleship.
every day.
That must have made it a little bit more intense. Just like I'm just gonna play in a game. There's no respawns, but playing a game.
I mean, it's funny because that's like that's a small part of our job because there's this thing called like a underway rate. So my job is a underway rate where we really don't do our job for real unless we're out to sea. When the boat is in dock, we don't do anything because there's nothing to navigate. We're
Right.
just there. So those days we would just be, man, those days were tough because people don't want you to leave work early, but there's nothing for us to do.
That's when you start scrubbing the boat and shit, right?
Oh, that's when you do everything. You clean for 7 hours.
Oof.
You just
What we
clean.
doing today? You're cleaning the boat.
Yeah, you cleaning, you paint, helping
You
other
ever
people clean and paint.
you ever have to go on the outside of the ship and clean or paint, or was that special stuff?
Um, yeah, but that's mainly a deck thing. But we helped them a lot because we're in the same department.
Hmm. Deck and navigations.
No, navigation is its own thing, but deck is they're really they're closely related. They work together. There's the two oldest rates in the Navy,
Hmm. Okay.
QM and BM.
So,
And I think gunner's mate is like the third rate in the Navy.
gunner's mate.
Yeah, gotta
Okay.
have gunners.
So, uh, how many ships were you stationed on?
Two.
Two. What was
Yep.
the first one? What type of ship was
Cape.
it?
It was a cruiser in San Diego, Cape St. George. Great memories on that ship. Well, not on the ship, but in San Diego.
So, real quick, just to give an idea,
Are you gonna pull up the picture of her?
pull a picture
Of the
yeah.
Cape? I think check to see if the Cape is decommissioned or that they're deactivated. I don't know.
What was the name?
Cape St. George.
Cape St. George. There's something up here from 9 years ago.
What? Like a picture?
No, there's some video up here. 7 years ago from a Dmitry Bodarenko, the Oregonian. Let's see here. I'll pull up the one real quick from 9 years ago.
That's crazy.
Shout out
'Cause
to the
I was
Oregonian.
probably on the ship 9 years ago. Yeah, that's
Shout out to the
crazy.
Oregonian right there. We do not own any of these and reserve no rights. Oh, just checking out one of our nation's cruisers. I'll just say that.
Pull it up.
Oh shit! I keep thinking like I pressed it and then like it doesn't freaking. It's a two-step. My bad. Right here. My bad, audience. Here we go. Once again, thank you to the Oregonian for helping us out here. All right.
Good afternoon. My name is Lieutenant Zaron Ocampo. I'm from Seattle, Washington.
Yeah, I know him. That's
What
that's
uses Cape
crazy.
St. George. We're the 25th Ticonderoga class cruiser in his class, and we're based out of San Diego, California, and we just returned from a 7th Fleet deployment about 6 months ago. We are one of the platforms that the Navy has to offer to be able to go abroad and do multi-mission from anti-air defense to anti-surface defense to anti-submarine defense, as well as strike. Um, we've gone through many different ports within the past year or so. We've went to the Far East. We've also went to places all around the Pacific, and we're here to support all the different missions that are available to us. Um, we're here to enjoy the Portland Rose Festival, and we look forward to staying here the next few days.
Yeah, that
Crazy.
bring it down nostalgia lane.
Yeah, so I wasn't on the ship yet. It's funny because when I first checked in, they just got back from the Rose Festival.
Oh, really?
So yeah, but I definitely remember
Wow, that's
Lieutenant
very,
Ocampo.
very close.
I remember Lieutenant Ocampo. I couldn't tell anybody else in the video though.
Was it cool?
Yeah, he was cool.
Word. Shout out to Ocampo. Thank you for your service. Um, and maybe continued service. I don't know, but thanks. Well, that's cool. So what was it? So the first ship you were on was a cruiser. How was that?
Yes. What do you mean?
So like,
How was the
what was
life on
the
the ship?
experience going from like being in the Navy and just on the ground, and now going to sea, or at least did you go to sea right away, or were you just now stationed to a ship? Because it's called underway, right?
Yeah. So when I first got to my ship, they were doing some workups because once the ship gets back from deployment, they usually just chill out for a little while, or they put the ship in the yards for repairs and stuff. And the Cape was old, so they were obviously trying to get it back out there. So we did some underways and we went to some places, but the deployment wasn't going to happen again. So we went to the yards for about I think 18 months, 17 months. That's a long time to be in the shipyards. When we got out the shipyards, they said, nah, just they decommissioned the ship, and I got new orders. But I went to some places when I was on the Cape. Went to Mexico, went to Mazatlan.
So you got to see a bit of Mexico while you were waiting out. How much of Mexico did
Insane.
you get?
I went to Sinaloa, cartel country.
Did it seem like it was cartel
It
country?
was yes, it's everything you see in a movie or a TV show. Every
what do you mean everything? Because like it can get
the
crazy and ridiculous.
Yeah, okay. I didn't see someone get beheaded, right? That's the thing. People
Yeah,
be like, "Oh,
okay,
did you see?"
not that, but
Oh, but I'm pretty sure it happened while I was there or around. Like,
like maybe downstairs while you were in a bar.
yeah, I can't tell too many sea stories. I gotta respect other people's privacy. At
You
least
can
I'll
always
try.
change names, you know.
Right.
You gotta be, you gotta be like Joey. You know, no story is too ridiculous to not be
Yeah,
shared.
nah. The Sinaloa was wild. It was nice though. I mean, it was fun. It wasn't nice. I remember getting picked up there, right? And most of the other places you'll go on like in another port, you get like a Uber or a Lyft or something like that, right? We got golf carts to pick us up to drive around the city. A golf cart. I'm like, oh yeah, this is hood.
That sounds exposed.
Very.
That sounds very exposed. Like uncomfortably so.
And then yeah, it was nice though. The food was good. Go to the beach.
Oh man. And that was your first port?
Yeah, that was my very first port out the country. And it's crazy because it's Mexico, which is across the street from San Diego, but
Was it
Sinaloa is deep in Mexico.
like a 2-day underway? Nice little
Probably.
weekend cruise.
Yeah, probably something like that. But we spent some time down there, a decent amount of time. But it was cool.
Like, so like, where was it? Like, I mean, you probably didn't know entirely, but would you regularly kind of experience just kind of going port somewhere, not really doing something, and then going underway for long periods?
That's basically what deployments are, right? Um, Most of the time is spent underway, and you'll get like a week in a port, maybe the longest a week, and then you're back out to sea for a month or so.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure we talked about the beer days before on the last time we did this, and it's just so crazy to me that most people never heard of the beer day, and I'm like, damn, I really had some crazy experiences in the Navy. And
I
and
remember you.
nowadays everything's so PC. I doubt captains are gonna allow beer days or for to have a swim open swim call like this too. They're never gonna allow that stuff again.
Well, just so that way people don't think that he's tripping or aren't confused. Um, what is beer day, Dre?
So I think if you do 45 consecutive days underway, I think 45 is the number. 45 or more underway, you get a beer day, right? Where everybody in the crew is entitled to have two beers. Like this is old sailor tradition, right? Real historic stuff. We were underway for I think 112 consecutive days at one point on our deployment. That's a lot of days. What's that? 3 months? 3 months? Yeah, 3 months and 2 weeks basically. And we were asking because you know how people are on the ship. They'll be like, "Yeah, man, I want a drink, or I want a beer or something." And we kept asking. Well, they kept asking because I really didn't care too much. And our supply officer, he open purchased some beers from France. I think one of the beers was from France, and another one he got from some other country. And he just did it. And I don't know how much money he spent, but he got beer for the whole crew.
Wow, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it probably cost a decent amount of money to get that shipped in the middle of the ocean.
Right?
You finding beer days, Steel Beach. Oh God. Oh, I don't know. Nah, that's an aircraft carrier, dog. That's not even real.
What do you mean that's not even
Not even
real?
real. That's a little. Pause the video. So
What
I, I say it's not even real because an aircraft carrier is like a little city, right? So they're never really
mm,
gonna hurt for supplies or anything.
ah,
They're gonna have
okay.
everything they want in abundance, and they're still gonna have to do unreps and everything like that. But come on, you got 5,000 6,000 people on that boat. You'll be all right. Like, look at this tomfoolery.
Right in the middle of the street, though. Oh, business. They got Stella. No Stella. They got, I don't know.
The
Look at it.
Stella,
Look at
is that
Stella.
the Stella? Like, yeah, come on,
Heineken.
man.
Budweiser. That's not a bad selection of beer. I'm not gonna lie.
But
Actual
see, the
Bud,
the
not
thing is,
Bud Light.
there's so much space on a carrier. They probably just went down the basement and was like, yeah, it's been a beer day, so let's go.
This is
Like
gonna
whatever.
expire.
Yeah, like that's
Shout out to Air Source Military.
that's not even real. They're floating on a city. That's not what the Navy's about. I'm hating.
What was that? That other thing that people would do out in the deep ocean? Swim day? Is that what it was?
Yeah, a swim call.
Swim call?
Mm-hmm. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think most captains are gonna do that kind of thing anymore because it's too much risk involved, you know. But I remember doing one on my first ship. We did one.
Anything like this happen?
Why the U.S. Coast Guard is shooting so close to the swimmers is shark what you think. It's a tradition for Navy personnel to sometimes blow off steam by jumping into the water in the middle of the ocean. This is known as a swim call, where sailors jump from as high as 30 feet. But to ensure their safety, a team always checks in with the swimmers.
Are you okay?
And a search and rescue boat is always nearby in case of an emergency, like that one time when a shark showed up to the swim call for the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Kimball. Everyone was terrified, even the Unicorn. The sailors started shooting at the shark, while the rescue team pulled their colleagues out of the water. Luckily, no one was injured, including the shark. Oh no, they left the Unicorn behind. Wait.
So,
These are indicative, I would say.
so speaking of unfortunately, hopefully, like the shark wasn't injured. I do remember, like you said, no names. There was a Tiger cruise, and the Tiger cruise is basically like the last week of deployment. People can invite their families to be on the ship and see what that ship life is like. I don't know why people would do that to their family members, but I get it.
This is kind of
And
crazy out in the middle of like nowhere waters.
well, yeah, look, I wanted to do it, but I was like, nah, you guys got it. I'm not jumping in the Pacific Ocean for a
It was
swim.
too crazy.
No,
That's understandable.
I'll swim in the pool.
They had a pool?
Yeah, I'll swim in a pool, but not the ocean.
Oh, you'll swim in a pool. I was gonna say the ship had a fucking pool. That sounds excessive. Completely unnecessary. Motherfucking doors are 4 feet in diameter in case it starts to sink. You got a pool in there? That sounds like an Air Force carrier. But you
There's
want a
probably
cruiser?
pools on those.
The cruiser is that what in terms of scale? Like, where's a cruiser at?
What do you mean?
Like, in terms of like ship size relative to a carrier and like crew.
Oh, they're way smaller. Way smaller. Just
How much
I'll put it
smaller?
like this. Uh, a carrier will have 5,000 people on it, maybe, roughly, right? 5,000. A cruiser might have 360 at the most.
Okay.
So
Versus 360 is kind of crazy.
I mean, 360 is a lot of people, but compare that to a flowing city.
So you were on something like the Litchfield here. Well, no, it says cruiser right here, light cruiser, so something like the Helena, I guess.
I don't know. What are you looking at? Because I thought it might be a frigate.
These might be older.
Older cruisers.
Yeah, hold on. Let's see here, maybe this one's better. This is a video. It's not what I wanted. Which is let's see YouTube. Terrible.
I mean, yeah, the ships are basically put into classes like the Ticonderoga class or the Arleigh Burke.
Arleigh Burke.
Arleigh Burke, yeah, the destroyer. Oh, that's a class of destroyers.
Why the curious names?
Because certain people matter more than others. I guess I don't know.
Fair enough. So, kind of backtracking a little bit. Actually, you know what? Before we continue on, we're going to take a quick little break here and have a little word from our sponsors. We will be right back.
Subscribe for more videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
That slap, that shit, it is that one. Let's go. Everybody talking about Breakroom song, they like that's that turn, that lit, that slap, that shit, it's that one. That go. Everybody talking about Dizzle new song.
I got GS jumping on a Tuesday. Dizzle drunk gang deeper than the Wu-Tang. If you love it, then you better cuff your back.
Dizzle, Dizzle, ready to see that. Ready to sizzle, Dizzle, ready to see that. Dizzle, Dizzle, on the sit, ready to sit, dripping my lip, my Dizzle, ready to sit, I'm ready to Dizzle, Dizzle, on the sit, ready to sit, I need more than a drip. I'm ready to sit, I'm ready to sit, I need more than a drip. Dizzle, 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 Dizzle.
Welcome back. That was a nice word from our sponsors, Dizzle. If you have not had yourself a drizzle of Dizzle, you need to have some. Including myself. But Dre, you've had some recently. What are your thoughts on Dizzle?
That's great.
Is it? Do you
It's
wish
great.
you had it sooner?
Yeah, I do.
Really? In terms of other liqueurs that you've had, how would you rate it or compare it?
So you know how you ever had Di Serrano before?
Yes.
It's kind of like that, but not vanilla. Because I'm comparing it to how smooth it is. So imagine like a fruit version of Di Serrano.
A fruity version of Di Serrano.
Yeah.
Tequila whiskey mix.
But yeah, with a little, it got a little kick to it, but it's good. It's got some oranges in there.
And I do believe there is a video of somebody talking about. I think Jay took it off here, but there was somebody who was recorded talking about Dizzle makes you want to. I don't know if that's true. Did you feel like you were looking for someone?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Well, it didn't work for Dre, but it did work for some. So maybe it's a 50-50 type of thing. I don't know. It's probably better than Ciroc.
Definitely. Definitely.
If your ass has bought Ciroc, you owe it to try some of this Dizzle. So get you some Dizzle. Shout out to Dizzle for being a long-term sponsor. We appreciate y'all. Thanks for being part of the show. Now to get back to our kind of extended topic, because it looks like it's just me and Dre today. Hopefully
it is.
Happens, but it's you today. So you got in You were saying that for everybody, once you get started on there, now I would imagine this doesn't include officers, correct? Like an officer doesn't start just swabbing the deck and shit, right?
No, they're not supposed to do that because they're better human beings than we are. At least that's the way people look at it.
Right, because they're part of leadership, right?
Well, it's weird too because some see there's different types of officers, especially the JOs, the junior officers. Um, some of them are like normal human
Junior just
beings.
mean lower class?
What'd you say?
Does junior just mean lower class officer? Or does that refer to like they're actually young in age, like people directly from like Annapolis or something?
Yeah, kinda. Like I said, there's different types of officers, right? So the academy graduates, they from like you said from Annapolis, when they first get to a ship, everybody's an ensign. That's O1, but they're different because you can tell an academy kid. You could just see it. It's like, oh yeah, you're a dweeb.
Taking
You're
it too
just a
serious
dweeb.
right away.
What'd you say?
Taking it too serious like right away.
For the most part, some of them are cool, but most of them they're not. And but then you have people who are like, um, you can make that transition from enlisted to officer, right? And I've seen people do it or try to do it and make it, but I wanted to do it because I have a college degree, but I was like, nah, I see what that is. I see what that is, so I'm good.
Yeah, was it just a turnoff? Because now that you mentioned that, you already had what's necessary to go to officer school, right?
Yeah, I could have went to OCS, but my recruiter basically just lied to me, and he had to do his thing to get his numbers. So it is what it is. His scumbag. It's dirtbaggery. But that's how they get. That's how they get down. But I can't be upset about it because I look back and think I would have never made it in as an officer in the wardroom. Like I'm glad I didn't have to pretend to be a robot like that.
My apologies, Junkers. I'm off screen while I eat some watermelon here. Um, it's interesting that it would be just such a turnoff that the benefits overall just weren't like attractive. Because you would
I
think
mean, you
like
get
you would
paid
want
more
to do it.
money. No,
I
you
think
get paid
it's.
more money, but it's whatever.
I mean, it'd probably be more money, but like, does not other things come from like just the default rank of being an officer?
Like what? It's not. It's really not that much better to be an officer. It's better, right? Even money aside, like yeah, people will treat you better and stuff like that. But it's weird because there's chief warrant officers, right? And the chief warrants, they've been in the Navy for like 30 something years, and they've seen it from both sides, and they're like, I hate being around officers. They're just you don't. They're not the kind of people you
I've heard
want
of
to
them.
hang around and have
They're like
fun.
unicorns, right?
What do you say?
They're like unicorns in the Navy, right?
Oh yeah, you might. In my 8 years, I've seen maybe five chief warrant officers, especially when you see them like not on a ship. Like every ship is gonna have at least one chief warrant officer, but like seeing one outside a ship, crazy. That's really like what are you doing here? It's like 35 years in the Navy, chief warrant. They usually hate everything. Usually, not all of them.
Really?
They're if you want to talk about salty, salty. I think it's part of like you can't be a chief warrant officer without being salty.
Is it just because you're aware of so much, perhaps? You think? Like, I know you weren't one, so you couldn't really know, but like, you think it's just because they know so much, and they also can't say so much. It's just like this is a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, I think I would say because you're probably the most competent person on board because it's really going to be you and the captain who've been on like in the Navy the longest. So you Captain XO CMC, and then Chief Warrant. Like the the those are going to be the people who've been in the Navy the longest. And you might have a Chief Warrant who's been in for 36 years, and the captain's been in for like 28. You know, something like that. Where you got to respect the rank, but
Hmm.
Chief Warrant
So
been
like,
in the Navy longer than anybody, or a
so like,
senior chief.
if there's like a like how there's tables like in mess and stuff like that, there's a mess of those who have been around.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
And it's
sense.
it's funny. It's funny you bring that up because like on the mess decks, it's like you can't sit anywhere other than where what your rate is.
Like you can't, or
You
like
can't.
you
Well,
don't.
you don't do it. You can do it, but people are gonna look at you crazy, especially on the engineer side. You don't sit where the engineers sit, and that's like
They don't mix with whites.
it's like segregation. But it's there's history behind that. Like there's a reason why the engineers have their own spots.
Is it segregated? Segregation related?
It's because they're dirty and
Oh, legit.
subhuman.
Oh, okay. So it's because they're dwarves.
Well, it's like so historically speaking, right? And even today, engineers do a really dirty job on the boat every day. So
Has
when it's
Mike Rowe
time,
done it?
like, would you say, like Mike,
Has Mike Rowe done it?
like that level of a dirty job? Yeah. So when you work with the engineers and you go to their spaces, they get dirty. They work with oil. They doing moving all stuff around. When they go to eat lunch, they have to sit in a certain spot because you don't want them sitting next to everybody else.
You gotta have a designated dirty area
They have
essentially.
a designated area for them, and if you're not an engineer, you don't sit there.
Hmm.
It's like gang banging. It's like what? I remember I didn't know any better when I first got to my ship, so I sat there
You
and
didn't notice the oil on the seats?
I wasn't really paying attention too much, and it wasn't a big deal. But like other people will tell you, it's like, yo, you're not supposed to sit here. I'm like, what? And at first you
You're in
kind of want to
prison.
no listen. At first you kind of want to argue it and be like, oh, I can sit where I want. It's like, no, you actually can't. Like this is a thing we do here, and it's a culture. It's bigger than you. Where if you are in a weapons department, you most likely sit with other people in weapons. If you're in operations, you sit with operations.
You
And
know
people,
that's funny because you're all supposed to know each other's jobs.
well, we're supposed to know how to be firefighters and medical training, right? The
Mm.
officers are the ones who really know everybody's jobs in and out, but we're supposed to know how to like keep the ship afloat. Like, oh, no, a HT doesn't know what an OS does.
What's
Like detailed
HT?
information. A hull technician,
Okay, and that's somebody who's going to essentially specialize in maintaining the hull integrity.
basically clean poop. That's what hull technicians do is take care of the sewage on the ship.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
that's misleading. Not the kind of
yeah.
title I thought it was.
Not a glorious job.
Oh, shit. That's disgusting. And unfortunate.
Somebody got to
Um,
do it.
right. I bet Mike Rowe has an episode.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
that's crazy. So when you first got stationed onto your cruiser, were you doing your job by the time you went underway into Mexico, or even really not even doing it?
Somewhat. Like you got to do a lot of hours in training to get qualified to actually sit and stand watches,
But
especially by yourself.
if you're not on the way Are you able to even practice that?
See, you're smart. You're a smart person, Talin. Most people wouldn't even think that. But like, yeah, you can't practice your job if you can't actually go out and do your job.
That's quite a caveat. So, like, how long did it actually take you to learn your job?
Uh, a while, I'd say, and probably a couple years. And to be honest, like
Really?
when I first got in the Navy, I didn't care about really anything. I didn't care. I was like, yeah, whatever. Like the only thing that really matters is um knowing how to do mo boards as a OS and
Mobile? What's that?
how to track contacts. A maneuvering board.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, oh God, how am I gonna explain this? So a part of us navigating is to tell the distance and time and speed it'll take to get from one place to another or another ship in relation to us.
Okay.
So we have to do that math for every contact around us, so we don't hit anything.
Okay. So everything that beeps up in their ears. So because essentially, if it's dark, you have to be able to use your sonar and what other type of systems you have to see
Lights,
what's out there and navigate and not be the Titanic.
exactly. Um, these are things people don't care about either on the ship. Most people don't think about it like that. Like they're just they're really ungrateful. I'll tell you that. You know.
Did weather ever make a difference for that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Weather definitely plays a part in that. So when the weather is bad, right, when you're underway, there's a group of people. They're called the low visibility team, and they're
Hmm.
basically like extra lookouts and extra eyes to see. And it's usually a bunch of people who are not in operations because they don't have anything to do.
Hmm. Did you ever see any rough seas or like bad
Yes,
storms?
yes.
Did you ever go in the
Um,
North Sea?
you said ever going in the North Sea?
Yeah.
Uh, no, nothing that extreme or nothing that far north. I'm trying to think like the worst. The worst stuff is in the Pacific, at least for as far as I can remember. Those are some of the worst seas. The Pacific is pretty crazy when it comes to like typhoons and stuff like that.
Does does this viewpoint here look familiar at all?
Yeah, yeah, I know this video.
Fairly common to see.
And it's not fairly common, but I've seen it enough. I've definitely seen this before.
Let's go.
The water's so blue.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of scared then.
Kind of scared.
So impossibly blue.
Kind of scared then. Kind of scared.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah. So I say at least once a week, we have to wash the ship because salt water is crazy with rust and everything. So you have to basically clean the whole ship, and that's the reason why.
Mm. Wait, so you have to wash the ship because of the waves?
Yeah, it's salt water.
Oh, you have to wash the salt off.
Yeah, and If you don't wash the salt off, you'll see salt crystals grow everywhere. It's crazy like that. So you got
But
to clean it.
how are you going to keel haul somebody who's not listening if you don't let the salt stay?
Um, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. You'll just get in trouble.
Well, I
It's all
believe out of
hands.
your own mouth, there are people that they don't care. They're going to do what they're doing. In that same sense, so you got underway. You went to Mexico. How long were you on that cruiser?
About 2 years, I'd say. 2 years I was in San Diego. 2.5.
2 years you were in San Diego, so you didn't even go underway with it, really.
No, yeah, like um
Just to Mexico and back.
we did some training underways here and there to practice and get qualified, and then we went to Mexico, and then we were about to get ready for a deployment, and then the ship gets decommissioned.
No shit.
Yeah, like I told you, we were in the ship. I was in the shipyard for like a good year and a half, which that
That's
was a good.
crazy.
That was a crazy time. It was fun.
So we actually have a comment here with a question.
And
Any mermaid
mermaids.
sightings or tales?
So a lot of the lookouts would say they would hear things like sirens or hear like music out in the ocean,
Really?
especially late at night.
People legitimately were doing that.
You said people were legitimately doing that. What do you mean?
Like they were like, it's just kind of crazy to hear someone being like, yeah, people talking about they were hearing sirens out there and like all this stuff because
Yeah, that's not
it,
make believe. That's real.
there's see, so I was just telling my girlfriend that I was like, you talk to people who've been on out to sea for some length of time, and they'll probably have at least a story or two. Well, they may not tell you because they already know it's ridiculous, and it's not worth
Hmm.
telling somebody who's not been there because you're not gonna understand why it's not ridiculous. And you're telling me it's not ridiculous.
Not at all.
You're
And
telling
and
you're telling the audience of the break room and anybody who watches it's not ridiculous. The idea of mermaids out in the sea.
I won't say mermaids, but to hear sirens, as they call them.
Shout out to Sin there holding us down. Oh, right here, so interesting. So, would you care to share anything that you have heard or somebody has told you?
Yeah. So, like I said, the lookouts would tell us like late at night. So there's always somebody on lookout or somebody on watch every 24/7 when we're underway for those watches. And at nighttime, it's scary. Like it's actually terrifying because when you go outside the ship late at night and you look outside and you can't see anything, it's pitch black. You can't see anything at all. And but you got to stand this watch just in case when you if we're out if we're underway and you see a light that we're not supposed to see, we don't want to hit anybody or anything like that. And a lot of times the lookouts would say they were just sitting out there and they take the headset off because they don't want to keep the headset on for 5 hours. And they're like, yeah, you would start to like hear things, and it's not just like the ocean or the water sounds. You would hear like some kind of sing song, humming sound, like a siren singing.
Huh.
And if like one person says it, most people would dismiss it. But I think I've seen a lot of people, heard a lot of people say, yeah, it's something musical is out there.
On like ships that you were on, or people that were
Yeah,
just
yeah,
telling you?
people I know personally.
Hmm. And they obviously they're saying this because they were convicted about it.
Yeah, because they had to stand and watch every night.
So like, were they like saying like like this is always happening type of a thing, or was it just kind of
Not It's
rare?
not always happening. I mean, it could be people playing into something in their heads. It could be animals making the noises and stuff like that, but I don't know. But it's
Well,
definitely not some. It's not make believe.
to that same point of just kind of like oddities and things like that, you're doing radar essentially. I mean, not to reduce essentially what you're doing, navigation. I feel is more
Mm-hmm.
accurate. You're doing navigation. Um, you're reading screens and systems. You're not looking out the window because
Nope.
looking out the window is not going to tell you things, and it's definitely not going to tell you what's in the water. So, when you've done that, have you come across oddities with any type of regularity, or has anybody that has been in your position told you of oddities they came across?
As in like in the radar
Hmm.
or
Or otherwise, but in the
uh.
radar, more specifically in the job.
So we'll have these things that we like. They're called like ghost contacts, right? So imagine the screen, and what I'm supposed to do is when I see a little dot pop up, that's a contact, and I'm supposed to put the contact in the system so it registers, so everybody knows there's something there, right?
And this
Usually
is
it's a
a shared system,
yeah, a shared system with a lot of different people.
military only, or like this is like a naval system that like this is what everybody follows type of deal. Same thing like with air traffic controlling, like you need to check in if you're flying type of a deal.
Yes. Um. So for like we'll share a contact with other ships in the area that are in the military,
Mm.
and usually they'll obviously they'll do the same for us. But even air contacts, those are things that we would share too with our radar.
Mm.
Like you brought up the air contacts for air traffic controllers. That's a OS job, and most of the time we see a contact, it's another ship. But there's times where it's like, well, what is that contact? Oh, it's land. Cool, whatever.
Mm.
But there was one time when we were on deployment and a French submarine popped up and everybody went crazy.
Really?
And I was like, I'm a troll. So I was like, sacre bleu. Everybody, like all the sonar techs and um all the chiefs and everything, they were like taking it seriously. And I was writing sacre bleu on the board. I don't know. I thought it was funny.
So like, were they trying not to be found, and you just
Oh,
found
of
them, or?
course. So it's they always say it's two things when it comes to a submarine, right? Um,
Mm.
you, you don't ever want to notice a submarine late, right? That's not a good thing because if a submarine's their main job is to never be seen. So if you see a submarine, they most likely want you to see them, but we didn't track that. So everybody
Mm.
was tripping out and they were like, "Oh man, we messed up, blah blah blah." But it was the French sub, so it wasn't like they were, you know, gonna do anything or try to pull a move. Now, if it was a Chinese sub or a Russian sub, people would have acted really crazy.
Mm. So you yourself then nothing super exceptional, just some people who have the people that would see it, like literally see it and hear it, those being on the
Yeah,
watch.
so that kind of thing, because I was a surface watch standard, and it's gonna sound confusing, but like the surface is for ships, right? You'll get it, and underneath the surface, that's obviously for subs. I don't pay attention to things that are underneath the surface for the most part. That's what the sonar techs are for. I'm paying
Mm.
attention to the things that are above the surface or on the surface. So even an air contact, I might see it fly by real quick, but that's not my job. That's what the AIC is for, or Aztec. Which those are both OS jobs too.
Okay.
My job is surface contacts, other ships, boats,
And
whatever.
then like if necessary, you would communicate if something seems to be like doing one or the other, like appearing and disappearing. You'd probably be like, "Hey, are you catching anything?" That will help the deal.
Because sometimes something will pop up and I'm like, I don't see anything there, but something's there. I'll ask the sonar techs to check it out, and they'll do their job because they work right next to us. So I never explained combat to you. It's where it's the CIC is the Combat Information Center. That's where we
Okay,
work, and that's the center that is like the basically the brains of the ship, and we're in control of that as OSs.
that
That's
like where
our
the
area.
helm and all of that.
What'd you say?
That's where like the helm and all that would be like the
No,
main, so to
the
speak. Or
helm, the helm and the was it Lee Helm? Helm and Lee Helm. Those were on the bridge, and that's where the quartermasters work. We work with the quartermasters a lot too, but we're in combat, telling quartermasters what we see on radar.
okay, and they relay it
And
up.
we're really telling the navigator and the bridge what we see.
Okay, so the
In combat,
navigator, navigation team, and he relies on you all to use the
mhm,
system, so that way he can then relay that back to the captain.
yeah, but you know, um, usually the captain isn't going to be up there on the bridge. It'll just be the bridge team, which is never the captain unless something. If the captain or the XO have to do anything navigation wise, like manually, that's a bad day. Obviously,
That's
it's
EXO
usually
essentially.
hmm?
Is EXO like first mate essentially? To make it simple.
No,
No.
no. First mate is well, like that's a deck thing. So the officer for the deck department, that's the first mate or second mate.
Okay.
The XO is the executive officer. He's basically he's second in command, right?
Okay.
But the bridge is usually an ensign on the con, the conning officer. Uh, the ship is actually driven by deck seamen. Believe it or not, a deck seaman, a 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid who just got out of boot camp, just got out of A school, gets trained up in how to drive a ship, and they do it. They're good at it though.
That's kind of wild considering what you have to do to fly a plane. Like I kind of get it. Like it's a little bit
Oh,
different. But like you could cause some serious problems with a
I
warship.
learned how to do it. I drove the boat once. It was insane.
Were you able to feel it underneath your
Oh,
grip? And
bro. Bro, do you understand much power is in your hands right there? So you have to control the rudder, and they'll tell you when it's like your rudder's off by a certain amount of degrees. And the conning officer or the navigator, once they see you start to go a little bit too far to the left or far to the right, they're gonna say, "Mind your helm." And if you ain't got your helm right, this could be a problem. Because it's not just you're in the because let's say there's nothing else in the ocean, right? But you still have to understand that the rudders are connected to all these other parts on the ship where you can't put too much force on one side, it'll mess something up. So you have to keep this in the
right,
right path.
water
It's
is
like,
heavy.
yeah, exactly. Imagine driving a really big car, like the biggest car you could ever drive, something bigger than that, and just trying to make a sharp turn. Like you have to ease in the turns on the ship. You can't do a 90-degree turn on a ship. You got to really
That's
ease into it.
why if you fall off, you're fucked.
Yeah, you got to ease into it like I said. But I learned how to drive the ship one day. That was a crazy day. Like you can get qualified to do those kinds of things too if you take your time out your life to do it.
Like if you have free time, just be like, "Hey, teach me how to drive the boat." Say,
Yeah,
okay.
you could go up to the bridge and ask somebody who's qualified to teach you how to do it. And they'll be like,
That's
"All right."
you can just kind of cross
Mm-hmm.
skills like
And
that.
you could do that for all kinds of things. So like I'm not a gunner's mate and I'm not in weapons, but I was like, well, I want to work in the armory. to be qualified to basically hand out firearms. Right, so you have to do training for that and get do a PQS for it.
That's crazy.
And anybody could do any job in the Navy. That's like I said, you have to learn so many other jobs because it's only us on the ship. It's only us out there.
Right, you said at least on your first ship, like 300 and change.
Yeah, but cruisers and destroyers are pretty much the same size, so they're gonna have 340, 330 people, something around that. There's not that
So,
much of a difference in the manning.
so you were on your cruiser, and that you kind of just essentially learned your job on that ship. Didn't really go anywhere, and then after San Diego, then what happened after they decommissioned the St. George? Was it?
Yeah, Cape St. George. The Battle of Cape St. George is what it's named after. That I got new orders to the Samson, which is a destroyer in Everett, Washington.
The Samson.
Yep, DDG 102.
See if the Samson has any.
Oh boy.
Would that be the USS Samson?
Mm-hmm.
USS Samson. Replenished by super carrier in rough seas, the USS Samson pulls alongside USS Roosevelt in big waves 6 years ago. It sounds like it would have been around your time, maybe.
6 years ago? Yeah, that was the last deployment. 2018? Yeah, I was on that deployment.
Let's see here. Let's see what they got for us. Maybe for that USS Samson.
Crazy.
It doesn't seem that big, relatively speaking. Being on the deck of that though, like, they ain't no fence bars and nothing. Like, yeah. I guess the keys are all right. They don't seem. You know, that was a big up down.
Yeah.
Is the USS Samson the most advanced?
USS Samson, the most advanced.
Oh, whoa. Whoa. What is going on here? No music. We don't own that music. I don't know what that was.
Is the USS Samson the most advanced naval destroyer? The USS Samson, an Arleigh Burr-class destroyer, is a true powerhouse on the high seas. It's armed with a variety of missiles for every possible threat: anti-air, anti-surface, and anti-submarine. This beast moves like lightning, ready to dominate any engagement. The crew's expertise and seamless integration make this destroyer a force to be reckoned with. And when it comes to hunting submarines, the Samson's advanced sonar systems give it an edge. So is the USS Samson the most advanced naval destroyer? It's definitely a top contender. Comment below. What's your favorite naval vessel? Is the USS Samson
Well,
the
having
most...
served on it, Dre, what are your thoughts on it being an advanced vessel?
Let's look at the comments. Let's look at the comments.
All right, let's do that. Go back to there. Let's see what the comments have to say here.
Is the USS Samson?
We saw that. Comments. I've had a teacher assistant that was from the USS Samson. She was chill. It was fun to talk to. It was sad that she left 6 months later. Did no one get the Battleship movie reference, or am I getting too old? Anything that's an Arleigh Burke class is very advanced. that fucking name that I am not familiar with again. Wasn't the Samson in the movie Battleship?
Yeah, you're gonna see that a lot.
Was it?
So in the movie Battleship, the Samson is a ship that explodes or get the aliens kill it or whatever.
Uh,
Yeah, it's talking about Battleship.
there's many more than the Samson. God bless America. This is the first time I'm hearing about this destroyer. The Iowa class is modified. Iowa, New Jersey, Missouri, Wisconsin. Just shame
Iwo
that the
Jima.
Montana built. The Montanas. Hmm. That's a badass ship. Destroyers, just like my dog Samson. Don't you try to mess with. Guam T. We have ships in the ocean no one's ever seen yet. CG62. That's who. USS John Paul Jones, DDG-53.
Shout
USS
out John Paul Jones.
USS Roanoke AR-7. Stationed aboard the Samsung in 1968. That's a long ass time ago, dog. 102 doesn't stand for the most advanced. I would say so. It's the nicest hiring campaign for ship in latest time. No, as the design is older than you, they had two more advanced ship types, but they have already scrapped them after only 4 or 5 years. What are your where is its partner USS Delilah? What is that? Is there something going on with that? What would they say? The Delilah. Delilah got Samson. Oh, never mind. I'm just now getting the Bible joke.
Yeah, I got it too. I was like Delilah. Oh, from the Bible.
It's like, hey, there's a USS Delilah. Nope. Good one.
Gotcha.
For those of you that don't know, I'm not going to explain it to you. Just go read the story of Samson and Delilah, and then you'll get it. Go read the Bible. Moving on. So you were stationed on the Samson. Now, in terms of them calling it like an advanced ship and stuff like that, while you were on there, was that like the energy that was there? It was like,
Yeah.
hey, it's some nice shit here.
Yeah, very much so.
Really?
Yeah. So my first ship was really old. Like they were commissioned, I think 1990. You could look it up, see what year the Cape was commissioned.
Mm.
The Samson was a lot newer ship. So it was a lot of new technology I had to learn. Even the new they have a different type of vacuuming system for the doors and the air quality on the ship. It was different. So
A
yeah,
vacuum system. Is
yeah.
that for like fighting
Crazy.
fires?
Mainly for toxic gas.
Oh, okay.
If there's a toxic gas exposure or anything like that, you want to have a space sealed off properly.
And then you can just vent it out, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I would think you could also use it to, if there is a fire, just like try and reduce oxygen in the area.
Yep, that too.
So going on the destroyer, you went from San Diego, like what? So being decommissioned, did this just kind of like happen like 1 week? Like you thought you were going to be going back to work, and then they're just like, yeah, so you're not doing that anymore, or was it kind of like this is going to be decommissioned, and you'll get some orders by the time that it's not going to be there?
Yeah, so for me personally, I got hurt at that time, right? I broke my ankle, and
What?
I
You were
wasn't on
jumping
the
off the
ship.
ship?
See, I
Oh,
wasn't on the ship at the time. I
were you in Mexico?
Nah, I was still in San Diego on base, but I had different orders to basically sit around and do nothing because I was hurt. And I got the news that we all were getting new orders because the ship is getting decommissioned. So I had to go check out, get my stuff off the boat, blah, blah, blah. And they were telling people, well, if you want to stay in San Diego, it, it's going to be difficult unless you have like good reasons. If you got like a wife and kids, they're probably not going to ship you across the country or ship you anywhere else or to another port or another duty station. But me, I was like, man, whatever. It is what it is. So they told me, I got the news. Yeah, I got the news I was going to Everett, Washington, and I was like, "What is that? Where is
Wow.
that?" Had to go, man. You're on the Navy's orders. The big Navy tells you gotta do something. You gonna do it.
That's quite a different change. Especially
Yeah,
knowing how expensive San Diego is, and like it's always been there, but it is very nice. It's nice out there. There's a lot of
it's worth
stuff.
it.
Like there's a reason why they charge a lot, and if you haven't been there, don't like you really can't knock shit until you've at least been there because you could probably
I
still
loved
not.
it.
You're not going to do it the same way. And San Diego seems very cool. It seems like there's a lot of cool stuff there. I definitely want to go back to it myself as an adult. I only went twice in my life. Once as a kid, and once as an adult. Uh, and then there's that Mexican food place, the seafood place that Karina's is it was.
Karina's. It's the
Uh,
greatest Mexican restaurant I've ever
food
been to.
is fantastic. It has always looked fantastic, and it's just like 6 hours for seafood. Just there's seafood that's good out here, but if
Right.
I'm in the area,
Hey
fuck
man,
is I
I'll
tried
take that trip. I'll take that trip out to the West Coast again.
just to go there.
Yeah, I go to Karina's and pull up.
Hey, you trying to come and visit? Let me know. We can go try it out together. Get some
Yeah,
seafood. Um, but
goaded.
so you got into there. You left San Diego. San Diego is fantastic. Central Coast weather. Great Mexican food,
Loved it.
seafood.
Loved
Now
it,
you're going to Washington.
bruh. Bruh. Hold on. I'll never forget the feeling I got when I first got off the boat for the first time in Everett. And I remember pulling into the port, and it's just gray and sad. And I'm just like, this is gonna be terrible, isn't it? And it's just bird poop everywhere. The birds went crazy on the pier, and it's just like you could feel the life being sucked out of everybody there once they had to pull back into port in Everett because it was like, yeah, this place is terrible, and it eventually grows on you. It's not that bad, but it's not. It's not San Diego.
Was it overcast all the time? Was it like
It's
England?
Yeah, it's Washington.
Hmm.
It's Washington State, which I always tell people there's nothing bad about Washington, but there's nothing really good about Washington. So
Hmm.
it was whatever to me.
Looking for meh. It's the place to go.
Yeah, it's nothing bad. It's nothing terrible.
So I take it was to your benefit that you were underway a bit more on the ship than you were previously.
Oh yeah, I always tell people too, especially like other Navy people. Uh,
Hmm.
Everett, not Everett. The Samson is when I really truly became a OS. Like where I really learned my job and I became good at my job and became uh more accomplished.
Okay.
So because we were underway a lot, went on deployment.
It's a little warm here. Excuse me. So once you transferred out there, how long was it until you went underway?
Oh, that's a funny story. Um,
Really?
yeah, because you know how things go in the military.
I
My
have an idea at least.
so my chief was telling one of the other OS3s at the time to like hurry up and get me on board and get me checked in. And I'm like, okay, what's the rush? Because I got some leave time. I was like, hey, look, I'll be there when I get there. And they're like pushing me to get there faster. And then I'm like, all right, cool. Y'all could pick me up from San Diego and we could go up to Washington. It's like 3 days underway from San Diego to Washington. They
Mm.
never said that they were in the middle of group sale and Com2X, which are training exercises. So when I get to the boat, I'm like, hey, when are we going to get to San Diego? I mean, when are we going to get to Washington? And they're like, oh, no, we're in the middle of group sale. And I'm like, what? It's like, yeah, we're not gonna be back in Washington for like another 6 weeks.
Oh shit!
I was like, oh, that's convenient.
Damn, they Shanghaied you essentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Navy,
They Shanghaied you.
bro. I wasn't prepared for 6 weeks. I didn't have that much stuff, so I had to buy mad clothes and underwear underway because I only had like a weekend full of stuff.
But
And
what?
I'll never forget it because there was no point in them rushing me because I wasn't qualified to do anything yet. But I got qualified and I trained. But
But
you know,
if they were picking you up from San Diego to bring up to Washington, why didn't you have all your stuff anyway?
what do you mean?
Because
I just
weren't
got
you
back
were?
from leave.
Oh, okay.
I just got back from leave, and it was like instead of me flying to Washington, I was just gonna go back to San Diego because the ship was saying, "Well, we'll pick you up from San Diego." I'm like, "All right, cool."
That's that. I feel like in retrospect, that's probably a sus thing for them to say. Be like, oh, okay,
Yeah,
you
I
just
should have just if I went up to Everett myself, I just would have been in TPU for like a month, just chilling.
right. You had that good old time relaxing.
I would have been like, "Yeah, y'all see you guys when I see you guys."
Don't hurry back now. Make sure you have a real good testing period.
Yeah, but you know, I got
Test those systems. Make sure
it
they're
is
up to
what
my
it is. I got my training, but it's good. It's good to get to the ship early, and you get to know your division and everybody in the crew. But I'll never forget that. Like you said, I got shanghaied.
like. If
They
you
got me with that one.
weren't in the military, that's a Shanghai. That's exactly what that is. Which is just crazy to think that that is even a thing at all,
But
or was.
to call it that,
Well, one, to call it that, and then also that it's a thing.
mm,
You're like, oh yeah, no, yeah. We'll just drop you into a box, keep you there, and then throw you on a ship and tell you better fucking serve. It's interesting how sea rules work. It's like, oh, I saved you from the sea, but you're literally mine now. So don't think you're gonna get off a port. It's like, huh?
yeah, nah,
Excuse me?
that's old pirate talk, old
Right,
sailor talk. So you're part of the crew now, whether you like it or not.
right. Part of the crew, part of the ship, part of the crew, part of the ship, part of the crew.
Exactly.
Um, so something a little bit adjacent, just because we were talking about the sea, and the sea is crazy. There's a little clip I wanted to share with the junkers and such regarding living at the sea floor and what that's kind of like here.
Weeks in the bottom of the sea. Oh, jeez. The scariest thing I saw one night I was taking a dump. The way you do this, if you have to go number 2, you go into the pool, and there's what we call a gazebo, which is just a little dome that has air inside. And then you just go down, and you have to swim, I don't know, it's like maybe 10, 15 feet. It's not that far. Like with no tank, and you're 60 feet down, it's night. You can't see a thing. You're alone in the ocean. And then you hold on, and you just take off your trunks, and you just let it rip. And then you finish. You put your mask back on. And I took a big breath, and I went down, and I opened my eyes in my mask in the darkness with my flashlight, and I saw, like, right in front of me, this huge eyeball the size of a saucer, this big, staring, unblinking right at me. And I freaked out. I just tore off for the pool and the habitat. I jumped in there. I surfaced. I'm screaming. And my crew come running like I've been bit by a shark or something.
What was it?
It was a Goliath grouper.
Oh, I've seen those things before. They're enormous.
Size of a cow. I lived for 2 weeks.
Crazy. Big as hell.
He saw an ocean cow, a sea cow,
Well, an ocean cow, that would be a manatee.
Doja cat.
Oh yes, also known as a Doja cat. You were correct. You're quite correct on that.
A manatee. Yeah, those things are weird.
Manatee, aka mermaids.
That's some people say.
You know what? Before we leave, I'm just gonna have a fun fact for people. Mermaids, manatees, um, you can go about and find out exactly how humanity came about finding this out. It's not the same as how AIDS became spread about eating monkey meat and such. It's not that way. Um, but it is more so the way than you think. And anyway, the vagina of a mermaid, of a sea cow, a manatee, is very apparently. I don't know. I didn't do the research. Don't plan to replicate. Is apparently very much the same thing as a human vagina. It feels the same. It's the same experience. Um, and that's really all I wanted to say is that the pirates, mermaids, they connected mermaids as being like manatees and also like scurvy, I think, or something like that, making them think they see things. And then the manatees having a very human-like vagina, they're thinking they're sleeping with mermaids. I don't know what type of scurvy or rum you have to be drinking to think a manatee is at all a woman. Because I feel like nowadays we'd be like, but mermaids are small and like they look so elegant and stuff. Back then, if you were a sailor out in the sea and you don't know if you're going to see this tomorrow, a woman at all is probably very attractive to you. So a very large, amorphous woman, if you're kind of out of it, maybe. I don't know what it was like back then. But humanity got to make sure we don't be doing that shit. And I feel like, ironically, even though as a society, like we don't, like there's nobody out there, as far as we know, going out there on boats. And when they go out on boats to catch crabs, they stop at a shore and they all fuck manatees. I don't think anybody's worried about that being a thing. But at the same time, I feel like we also live at a time in humanity where some of the worst atrocities are being committed on the down low, and we just don't know.
Yeah, I'll be able to get up.
Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and end this very odd chat today. Thank you for tuning in. We truly appreciate it. Thank you thank you, Dre, for sharing a little bit of your Navy history. We didn't get into all of it. We never have gotten into it. My intention on this was to at least have one or two others to ask some questions, but at least people got a little bit of a look into the Navy, have some questions answered that maybe they never thought about, and have some insight themselves, and maybe this will inspire somebody to serve. I honestly don't know how to feel about that. I want to have a military, but at the same time, you've seen how we are nowadays, so it's very, I don't know. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate y'all. This has been the Break Room. Next week, everybody should be in house, and things will be back on track as they are with all of our normal segments and things. But it didn't really make a lot of sense for us to do a trivia session or a Mach minute without Mach, so we just kind of did something a little classic. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate your support. Please like, share, subscribe, and have a wonderful, fantastic weekend, y'all. We will see you next Friday. Be out. Thank you for holding us down there, Sin. We appreciate your comments. You have a great night.
Thank you for tuning in to Talking Junk.
Later.